For years, athletes have been looking for magic support substances that would provide them with above-average performance and muscle development, without harmful side effects. But what if such a secret weapon for achieving perfect muscle mass already exists today? During the last 2 decades, SARMs, selective androgen receptor modulators, have captured the attention of both seasoned athletes and newcomers to the gym. But are they really the game changer they're made out to be? Is it real or just another dangerous gamble? In this video, we will dive deep into the world of SARMs, exploring their history, chemistry, availability, dosages, and user experiences to uncover the objective truth. History. The story of SARMs starts not in a gym, but in a laboratory back in the mid-20th century. Researchers were searching for a way to treat conditions that involved muscle and bone loss, such as age-related muscle decline, sarcopenia, and osteoporosis, without the feminizing or other unwanted side effects associated with testosterone replacement therapy. They needed compounds that would specifically target the receptors in muscle and bone tissue while having minimal impact on other organs, like the prostate. For decades, scientists essentially experimented only with the testosterone molecule, which led to the synthesis of a number of types of steroids. It wasn't until the 1990s, however, that the first modern, non-steroidal SARMs began to emerge. The year 1998 is considered the symbolic birth of non-steroidal androgens. Research ramped up as pharmaceutical companies saw the potential for these compounds. Unfortunately, to date, March 2026, no SARM has been approved for human use by any major drug agency. Although some substances in this group have been studied for over 20 years, none of them have yet passed all stages of clinical testing, with a result that would be sufficient for the authorities to grant a license for sale in pharmacies. Some have been abandoned for various reasons. Yet the potential of SARMs for performance enhancement did not escape the attention of the bodybuilding and fitness world, leading to their appearance on the black market and an increasing surge in popularity. At present, they are strictly prohibited at all times, both in and out of competition, by the World Anti-Doping Agency. The chemistry of SARMs. So how do SARMs differ from traditional anabolic steroids? The key lies not only in their different chemical structure, but also in a more selective mechanism of action. Traditional steroids like testosterone or dianabol are broad-spectrum androgen receptor agonists. This means they bind to androgen receptors throughout the body, including those in muscles, the prostate, skin, and hair follicles. This widespread action is what leads to both the anabolic muscle-building effects and the unwanted androgenic side effects, such as prostate enlargement, acne, and hair loss. Although there are steroids where anabolic and androgenic effects have been separated to a large extent, namely oxandrolone, methanolone, and nandrolone, their number remained very limited. SARMs, as the name suggests, are designed for selectivity. They also bind to androgen receptors, but they're engineered to have a higher affinity for receptors in muscle and bone tissue and a lower affinity for other tissues. This targeted approach is achieved through their unique chemical structures, which are typically based on nonsteroidal scaffolding rather than the cholesterol backbone of traditional steroids. Navigating the market. Now let's get down to the practicalities. The number of SARMs that have made it to the black market, often under the guise of research chemicals, is quite extensive. It should be borne in mind that in clinical trials, dosages are typically very low to minimize systemic impact, but athletic doses are much higher. Therefore, conclusions about side effects in the sporting population cannot be drawn based on the results of medical studies. Despite some naive ideas, SARMs are not harmless in sporting doses and exhibit a number of side effects typical of steroids: suppression of natural testosterone production, liver toxicity, and negative changes in cholesterol levels. The only difference is that these side effects are milder overall. In this video, we look at 3 widely used SARMs that are derived from aryl propionamide and developed by the company GTX Inc. Ostarine. Ostarine is often considered the most thoroughly researched and generally well-tolerated SARM. It originated within a research program of the company GTX Inc., led by James Dalton and his team. It has undergone many clinical trials, but its approval has a complicated history. It was developed to treat muscle wasting cachexia in cancer patients and to treat osteoporosis. Clinically, it was tested mostly in doses up to 3 milligrams per day. The results of Phase 2 clinical trials were promising in terms of increasing lean body mass and decreasing fat mass compared to placebo. In 2013, however, GTX Inc. announced that Phase 3 clinical trials did not show convincing results in terms of increasing physical strength in lung cancer patients. In 2018, GTX announced that Ostarine failed a Phase 2 trial in women with stress urinary incontinence. Currently, new promising studies are underway, especially in women suffering from breast cancer. Ostarine is also being tested in combination with weight loss drugs such as Ozempic or Wegovy. The goal is that patients lose only fat during rapid weight loss, and Ostarine helps them preserve muscle mass. In the bodybuilding community, Ostarine is known for promoting moderate muscle mass and strength gains, with minimal water retention, no estrogenic side effects, and has low androgenic effects, roughly one-third compared to testosterone. The impact on endogenous testosterone is milder than in steroids, but even therapeutic doses can lower it by one-half. Bodybuilding doses are 10 to 25 milligrams per day, usually taken twice daily, as the half-life of Ostarine is about 20 hours. Remarkably, at such dosing, there is characteristically a sharp increase in the liver enzyme alanine aminotransferase, ALT, and cholesterol levels are also slightly negatively affected. Because the increase in ALT is not accompanied by an increase in bilirubin or alkaline phosphatase, the manufacturer claims it is just a temporary adaptive mechanism. However, the increase can exceed the upper limit very substantially, and caution is advised. Interestingly, a frequently reported positive effect of Ostarine is a significant impact on libido and potency. Although examples of positive body transformations when using Ostarine can be found on the internet, it must be taken into account that in such cases, Ostarine is often used in very high doses of up to 30 milligrams per day and combined with other drugs. Given that even at such high doses, the anabolic effect is not stunning, and the risk of potential liver damage has not been clarified, the use of this substance essentially has no rational justification for athletes. Andarine. Andarine was also produced by GTX Inc. and was de facto a prototypic SARM that catalyzed the development of other SARMs. It was first described in 2002, but remains unapproved for human use because human testing was discontinued in the initial Phase 1 trials. However, experiments on rats showed a very good separation of anabolic and androgenic effects. Even in high doses, Andarine was unable to fully restore prostate weight in castrated rats, but its anabolic effect equaled testosterone. Although chemically similar to Ostarine, Andarine behaves differently in many ways. It affects liver tests only very slightly, is not very suppressive of testosterone levels, and although cholesterol levels are negatively affected, the change is only about half compared to oral steroids. The reason Andarine was discontinued in humans is likely the very specific side effects manifested by the loss of the ability to see in the dark. This is caused by Andarine binding to receptors on the retina. Experience shows this is temporary, but it can be dangerous when driving motor vehicles. The usual sporting dose is 50 to 75 milligrams per day, usually split due to a short half-life of 4 to 6 hours. Overall, it seems that Andarine is a relatively safe substance, but only moderately effective. Anecdotal experience does not rule out that Andarine may have a profound effect on strength endurance, but because black market SARMs can be contaminated with various other substances, This observation is difficult to confirm. In any case, it seems that given the as yet unresolved hepatotoxicity of Ostarine, GTX Inc.'s decision to abandon Andarine seems somewhat premature and problematic. S-23. S-23 was developed by GTX Inc., the same laboratory responsible for Ostarine and Andarine, and it has a similar chemical structure. It is a nonsteroidal SARM that remains experimental, with no completed human clinical trials. Unlike other SARMs primarily targeted at muscle wasting or osteoporosis, S-23 was specifically researched as a potential hormonal male contraceptive due to its ability to suppress sperm production. It is arguably the most potent SARM in terms of changing body composition, simultaneously burning fat and building dense muscle. It provides a hard, dry look similar to the steroid Ostarine. Anecdotal protocols in the bodybuilding community typically range from 10 to 25 milligrams per day. S-23 has a relatively short half-life, estimated at 12 hours. Consequently, it is almost always split into 2 doses, morning and evening, to maintain stable blood levels. While it is selective, it is less so than Ostarine and Andarine, particularly at higher doses. It still stimulates androgenic tissues like the prostate, and due to its high binding affinity, individuals prone to male pattern baldness may experience accelerated thinning. Often referred to as S-23 rage, users frequently report increased irritability and a shorter temper, likely due to its high androgen receptor activity in the brain. Other typical side effects, such as liver damage and bad lipid profile, are also possible. It is a strong suppressor of follicle-stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. Because S-23 is so potent, it often brings testosterone levels to near zero, making a comprehensive post-cycle therapy mandatory. Final word. In conclusion, SARMs represent an interesting development in performance enhancement, offering the allure of gains without some traditional steroid side effects. However, it must be said that even the best of current SARMs are only slightly above the level of the best steroids in this regard. SARMs are definitely not substances without side effects. It's also crucial to emphasize that the purity and composition of products sold as research chemicals can vary widely. There have been instances where products labeled as SARMs have contained steroids, different types of SARMs than what was advertised, or impurities. The potential risk of consuming untested, unregulated, and potentially unsafe substances should be a major concern for anyone considering using them. The lack of long-term safety data and the risks of the unregulated market make their use a risky gamble. Before considering using SARMs, you should do extensive research and weigh the potential benefits against the significant risks involved. Remember, true health and fitness are built through sustainable, natural practices. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss future episodes.